Hello and welcome to Connect to Love here on PRN-FM. I'm Lisa LaRose, and each week we explore the deepest currents of our being and, of course, our connection to love. I'm joined today by the incredible Michael J. Russ. I want to say welcome, Michael. It's always such a delight.
Thank you. Welcome. Great to be on PRN-FM, and for those people who listen to our podcast, so happy that you've joined us.
Last week's show, we had a conversation about life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. So what if everything that you've been feeling, whatever challenges that you may be experiencing, was actually a sign that you're being invited to a higher version of yourself, and that you are standing at the threshold of your soul's greatest adventure? It's really an unprecedented time here on the planet, and I believe that there is truly a profound shift of consciousness that humanity is experiencing. Some people say that this time is signaling a monumental wave of awakening, and I truly believe that each and every one of us plays an integral part. We're all being invited to remember who we truly are, that we are sovereign, that we are divine, and that we are whole.
It is an amazing journey. And that topic has got lots of legs, got long legs.
It truly does. Last week we spoke about the idea that life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. And do you know how many examples I had of that over the next few days, Michael? It was just amazing, including listening to a Next Level Soul podcast with Sarah Landon, and she said those exact words. And I thought, wow, the universe really wants us to pay attention. Really, truly, that life is happening for us, and that everything that we seek is already existing in the present moment. And I think that that's part of what this journey is all about. And not that too long ago, we talked about how if we peeled off the layers of an onion, you would eventually get to the core. And I think that's sort of where we are on the planet right now. We're sort of got these layers of awareness, and we're connecting with others, and we're tapping into new forms of consciousness that were not part of everyday vocabulary. I just saw, and I think Sarah Landon in the interview, she said she was driving and she saw the word channeling your inner this, channeling your inner that. And I just got a package from Amazon, and written on the outside of the package was, "Fast delivery is my love language." And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, love language, channeling, consciousness. So everything that is here, and it's just for us to sort of rediscover it. And it's all about discovering. I think we all came in here with unique gifts. We're all part of this amazing puzzle, and each of us holds different aspects of it. And that's what I really love, Michael, because each week we focus on that oneness, that connection, that human spirit, and how we return to those core principles. And I was reading something to Michael earlier that came across my feed, and one of the things that really spoke to me was that we are embarking on a journey, the greatest adventure that our souls have ever known. Not one of us has an idea of what's going to unfold later today or tomorrow, but I really love the idea that we are truly embarking on this great adventure. And maybe it's sort of like when you have a pair of glasses and you set them on top of your head, and you're walking around, you're like, where are my glasses? Where are my glasses? And it takes somebody to come up and like, your glasses are on your head. They're there. You just can't see them. And I think that's kind of where we are right now. Each one of us, we've been looking for different things, whether it be a sense of peace or unlimited abundance or connection or health or love or happiness or more joy. And they're right here. They're right here. So I think it's just such a fun topic, and I'm eager to hear your thoughts, Michael, how we are truly embarking on this great journey, the greatest adventure that our soul has ever known.
That's awesome. Yeah, it definitely is. It's interesting because I finished up Lee Harris's book, The Future Human, 2 days ago, and what's interesting about it is that there's this a theme throughout that particular book that also exists in Pam Gregory's YouTube channel and her YouTube podcasts and her videos, and Sarah Landon and the teachers who are channeled by Carol Collins. And that's that there's a movement afoot, this thread that's woven into all of these particular people's messaging, that we are no longer, that things are changing, right? And that we are being, these celestial beings are coming to a lot of people who from all walks of life, and passing on the message that it's time to get with it, wake up, see the illusion for what it is, and regain control of the sovereignty that you were born with. And they're actually using words, sovereignty, and taking control of your perceptions, and understanding that perceptions are really, your perceptions are aligned with things that no longer matter, right? That in the grand scheme of things, they don't matter. And I've come to understand from some of the friends that I have and some of the people that I run into and talk to that, you know, that there's this massive machine out there that is media, social media, the information machine. That, and even on YouTube, you just go on YouTube, and all the commercials align with this this kind of message of what you lack. And that when you yourself start believing that thought virus, that you lack something to be whole, that you lack something, and it's the reason for your happiness. When you buy into that, it doesn't make you feel good. It actually brings you into the lower frequencies, and lower frequencies is where you are controlled by this big machine. You're kept in fear. You begin to fear. If I don't get that thing, I won't be this way. You know, if I don't get that face cream, I won't look great. And I see younger and younger people that are using products that had heretofore been marketed to people in their 60s, 60s and 70s, and all of a sudden these kids are believing that oh, I see that little wrinkle, I need Botox. You know, I'm like, what in the world are you talking about?
Right.
You know, they're buying into it. Just on a 3D level, there's all of this. And what I find myself doing, I know, and I know you do too, is I step outside of it. I step outside of it and kind of see it for what it is. And what it is a machine that has no other purpose but to keep you in fear. And this was mentioned in very, very prevalently in Lee Harris's book. And Pam Gregory just said it in her latest piece, in her latest interview, that it's the fear that is holding us back. It's the fear that is keeping us grounded in negative frequencies, other negative frequencies as well, jealousy and greed and all these things. Nothing wrong with wanting everything the world has to offer, because you already have that capability to bring it to yourself, to manifest it. And there was some very interesting conversation about the amnesia and how in the future that we're going to be given the opportunity to tap into our soul's knowledge. You know, this is a really cool thing, because back when I read the book Journey of Souls 35 years ago, it opened my eyes to what other people, I mean, now that there's all these near-death experience videos and all that kind of stuff, but Journey of Souls was, in my view, the first book by Michael Newton, PhD, that it opened me up to understanding that we never die. We're here. We just transition. We go from non-physical being to physical being to experience this life, this journey, right, that we're talking about, this journey. It is a soul's journey. Your soul voluntarily goes through an amnesia process, because the journey would not have been as viable for you in your soul's progress, your soul's ascension, your soul's elevation and transformation, continual transformation, if you knew that it was an illusion. Right? If you knew this was all an illusion, if you knew that the reality you're creating for yourself is the reality that's based on the perceptions of what's going on around you and what you're thinking and feeling about yourself, if you knew that to begin with, you would look at this situation, you wouldn't be in fear. And this grand machine that I'm talking about that exists out there, which is a force where something really beautiful that was said by Pam Gregory. There are two kinds of people: the people who are in service to themselves, and people who are in service to others. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm talking about you're giving money, you're volunteering, and all that kind of stuff. Being in service to others is a mindset where you're giving of yourself, you're giving of your time, you're giving of your experiential wisdom. It could be as simple as leaving someone better than you found them. That's being of service to others, right? You see somebody, you don't know their name, you don't know anything about them or whatever, but you're kind to them, you're loving to them, you're treating them with empathy and compassion, and that's being of service to others. And being of service to yourself means, what can I get from this person? What can they do for me that can enhance my life, and my status in life, and they don't matter, right? They're just someone who's here to service me, and those are the two kinds of people in that Pam Gregory was talking about, and it's so simple, it's so true. Everybody who has a podcast or a YouTube channel that is seeking to, or in some sort of messaging, a book, books that they have, ebooks, whatever they may be, whatever the information delivery source and delivery is, these are people who are putting out there a message of love and kindness and compassion and empathy. They're being of service to others and sharing a message. Then our messages are going to be woven together because there's no original message. So we're all saying the same message in a different way, right? That's what we're doing. So the whole concept of this soul's journey, and what I love about where it's being talked about that we're going right now by many different sources, corroboration and from these different areas of information, is that we're going to be opening up, being more aware of what's going on, given more confirmation of things that of our soul's purpose, and information that can help us break free, the average person break free of the cycle of fear and fight or flight and survival. And those are all perceptions. So breaking free of negative perceptions and embracing more positive perceptions, and as a result having your life completely and totally change, and having you understand that you've been sold a bill of goods, so to speak, by people who are in service to themselves. And the more people who become aware and in service to others, the better this planet will be, regardless of what's going on now, getting caught up in all this madness that people in service to themselves are spreading. Okay? It's not like it's habit. They're spreading it. And they only survive because of people who are not in service to others.
Michael, that's exactly why there's some discomfort. And I know that both Sarah Landon and Pam Gregory and others have said that as things start to dismantle, this great dismantling, it can feel intense because there's unprocessed emotions, there's limiting belief, there's, when you want to call it ancestral trauma, whatever these patterns are, they're rising to the surface so they can be cleared. And I think instead of looking at as from a confusing standpoint or exhaustion or whatever it is, if you look at it sort of like a cosmic spring cleaning. I had no electricity for 4 days. And so since then I've been sort of doing this little cleaning thing, and it feels fantastic to be able to move things through, and it's kind of like that. Now we're doing this cosmic spring cleaning where these powerful energies and the Schumann resonance of there's been all of these explosions off of the sun, and there's a geophysicist, Stefan Burns, that I listen to, and he said the Schumann resonance, which is the heartbeat of the earth, basically what we ground ourselves to, have been off the charts. So we're experiencing energies that as humanity has never experienced. All beings on this earth, not just humans. So it's being amplified. But I think as these powerful energies and this light is infusing in, these old structures that have held us back are moving away. And then it's making way for a new foundation. And isn't that grand, to be able to be in that space? And some things can be uncomfortable. I mean, it wasn't comfortable for me to be in the dark, but I survived. And I think that when you get through that, there's sort of like this, I know when the electricity came on, it was like that, aha! All of a sudden, those light switches that we just switch on and off just out of habit, like going into the basement, I'm like, oh yeah, no, that I don't actually have electricity. I can't turn on the switch.
Yeah,
but when when we're in that space of that aha realization, whether you want to call it enlightenment, whatever it is, that light comes on. And we're going from the unknown to the known. And so the things that don't feel comfortable to us, they will, little bit by little bit. And we'll look back maybe 2 years from now, maybe not even 6 months from now, and go, oh, yeah, you know what? That's so commonplace. It's like the word channeling or the words love language. I think if I would have said that, it really struck me, and I thought, wow, we're talking about love language. How powerful is that? And you and I spoke about choice not that long ago, about choice theory. And when we have that, we have that choice. We have these old forms and these way of being. And we've had many experiences that have served us well. We get into a habit of doing things. But if we have that sacred choice to live from union and connection and heart-centeredness and love, it's a different way of being. And it may not be for everybody. Some people will be like, no, I'm digging my heels and I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. I like things the way they are. But by making that sacred choice to be present and to allow whatever is meant to unfold, it could be truly the soul's grandest adventure. We don't know what vision is before us. And I think all of us on some soul level have been seeking that since we came into this world, that separation, and we want that.
Right. We want love. We want to feel it. We want to experience it, because that's in its many facets and unconditionally if possible, because that's where we come from. We come from a place of complete and total acceptance, non-judgment, and unconditional love. Because those two things exist in an unconditional, loving environment, non-judgment, and it's down here in this earthly realm, so to speak. We become in many cases bogged down by there's so much negativity that is propagated and spread by others. We have to render ourselves completely and totally invisible when it comes to that. We have to. It's interesting because last year we were hearing a lot about from the sources we listened to about a different earthly plane, a different earthly reality, one that is loving, it's kind, it's impassioned. It's where people come together and the like. And it was interesting because I think someone said, yeah, well, where's that? Where's that now? And he said, understand this. It's not this dimension and that dimension. It's what you're perceiving to be. Right? So it's not like there's going to be two worlds, two earths, and you're going to suddenly be, by your thoughts, transferred to a different physical place. It's that when you resonate, when let's say love and kindness and compassion and empathy happen to emanate from you and then resonate out to the world, and you attract that to you in kind, because the outside world is a mirror of your own thinking, then you are in a different world. You are living in a different place because you're attracting that place to you. And versus somebody who you could be standing right next to who sees something completely different, is in a completely different world because their thinking is aligned with all the negative energies of jealousy and fear and frustration and worry and anger and all of these negative emotions, jealousy, greed, and they're caught up in the 3D drama of negativity. And so their perceptions are aligned with that, seeing the world as a dangerous place, a fearful place. That's the reality, the earthly reality that they'll be experiencing and attracting to themselves. So when you understand that, it brings clarity to the idea that the reality that you're looking for, and if you're seeing one reality, the negative reality, and you want the other, it begins within. I keep talking about this all the time. You choose to propagate that within you, and then the outer world that you experience and that comes to you, that illusion, that the holodeck that appears, that you appear in, that you find yourself in. That Star Trek holodeck, right? You walk in the door, there's nothing, and then you perceive love and kindness, and then all of a sudden, boom, that appears around you. You know, that's a great. I think it was Robert Edward Grant that had brought that one up, but I'm familiar with holodecks because of the Star Trek experience, but and the people I've known in it. But it's a great metaphor. You know, that is what life is. Right? You walk in there, and if you walk in there with fear and struggle and lack and anger and frustration and worry, then your holodeck experience will be just that. Another person, you walk out the door, boom, it's gone. Somebody else walks in, and it's beautiful gardens, and it's grass you're walking in between your toes, and it's creeks and birds, flora and fauna, and it's gorgeous. It smells fantastic. That's the world that you live in. You have everything you want, right? Everything you want or ever need, you just think of it, and it's there. Boom. That's the holodeck, and that's really where we are now. And we have this tendency as human beings, and we've been taught to want more than what we really need, number one. And that wanting more than you really need at the moment creates this feeling of lack. It creates this feeling of lack, and that feeling of lack, living in that day in and day out, we're not really aware of how that impacts how we feel in relationship to the environment that we're creating. And this is the most important thing. And I think about this all the time. I say, okay, I ask myself, am I happy right now? Oh, absolutely. Someone asked me, you asked me, how you feel? I feel amazing. When I get up in the morning and I feel stellar, I look my little corgi in the face because he's right on my chest looking at me, licking my face. And I'm like, yeah, this is amazing. This is where I want to be. In the morning, this is exactly what I want to happen. This love, this big furry 27-pound creature laying on my chest, right, and giving me the love the first thing in the morning. I love it. If not him, it's the cat. So we create these environments for ourselves and through our choices. And I think a lot of people out there are and I know a lot of our listeners might be involved in very much in the how, right? We see what's going on. We turn on the television. We turn on the radio. We read the newspapers. We check out social media. Something that I would urge our listeners to begin to reduce your time doing if you actually want to be happy and self-loving and you want to create the environment around you that is nurturing. You're going to have to stop engaging with and giving energy to and life to things that you have no control over, that don't really matter in the end to you as a human soul, where you are, what you're doing, what livelihood you're engaged with, the connections with people that you make. They have, what happens is these institutions create this importance around what is going on, the whole influencer phenomenon, where, and by the way, before social media, movie stars and musicians were, and actors and people on stage, and they were the influencers. People who were seen all the time in those mediums, they were the influencers. You know, you were a star of a show. People listened to you. They hung on your every word. You know, because you were somebody who they looked up to, that they respected, and that's who an influencer is in your life. Someone you look up to and somebody who you respect. They're going to influence you more than anyone else. And now with social media, you've got these influencers that have millions of people that don't even know them, right? And I'm like,
right.
I would never want to be influenced by somebody I don't know. You know, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, but you know, I mean, you're an influencer to me. I know you. We talk all the time, and what we need in our lives is people like the connection you and I have, which is, and it just has to be just one person. It doesn't have to be a million people. It just has to be one person you can connect with on a soul level, and talk about yourself, your life, your future, things that like we talk about all the time. We share the same information, and that information is upbeat. It's positive. It's about grow and evolve.
Mm-hmm. Truly. I was smiling because on the Kentucky Derby, one of the horse co-owners, it listed as his job social media influencer, and
right.
My brother
14 million people.
I didn't know that was a job, and I just had to smile because I was like, well, I didn't know who he was, so I said, well, he's not influencing my life, but that's okay. Like he's impacting somebody's life, but not mine. Mm-hmm. But I think it's important to recognize that each one of us matter. Each soul that chose to incarnate at this moment in history, at this time, is here for a reason. Everybody matters. Everybody matters. And I think that this time on the planet is really almost like an invitation, and it's being extended to all of humanity. There is no exclusion, and it's an invitation to return to wholeness, unity, light. We spoke about reclaiming your sovereignty, resetting different things, but it is, I think, a call to remember who you truly are and to step into that inherent power and then embrace whatever it is that you are whole, sovereign, and overflowing with light and a child of love. And you have that ability to use that love to connect to other people. And you and I have spoken about it. I feel like that's part of my purpose. That's part of my passion. I'm passionate about love. I'm passionate about connection. I know that you are. It's about, really, truly an invitation to reclaim that birthright for those potentials. And we've spoken about it before. You are becoming that which you are seeking. So if I am seeking love, the best way for me to attract love is to be loving to as many people as I can. Genuinely loving. Mm-hmm. And then it will be reflected back to me.
Right.
It will be reflected back to me, and I know that. So if you're seeking peace of mind, find things in your life that bring peace of mind, and you will naturally attract other people that are like that. Yesterday, I went to an event in the afternoon. A friend of mine was an exhibitor at an event, and I wanted to go and support him, and there were certain people in the room that I felt a natural affinity to, a natural attraction to. And I felt so blessed because there was a gentleman who I'd met probably about a year ago. He was at another event, and he had given me a handout, and he didn't have any business cards. He didn't have his name on there. But I reread what he gave me on this handout so many times. And I was just waiting for an opportunity to say thank you. And I didn't see him at first because he was doing something else, but I recognized his wife. And I was like, oh, my goodness, you're here. And I just wanted to let him know that the information that you gave me, it wasn't tossed out. It really meant a lot to me. And it felt so great to be able to thank him in person. I mean, every time I read it, I'm grateful. But to actually be able to say thank you in person made a big, big difference. But it was a wonderful event, and there were a lot of individuals that were speaking about this exact topic, about that connection and reclaiming our sovereignty and shining that inner light, because that's our nature. That is our divine potential, and that is our sacred birthright. Boom, bottom line. Within each of us.
Absolutely. I'm loving the connections that you were making. I can feel you in that room. I can, in my mind's eye, I can see you, and the energy that's coming from these people and how it resonates with you. And we have to think about the fact that you were supposed to be there, guided there for a reason, and you were supposed to connect with this particular gentleman again. It's kind of like, if I meant to see this person again, I will see them again. I don't know when, I don't know where. I just know that we resonated the first time together, and there was some major exchange of energy and what they were doing and the livelihood that they cherish and how that resonated with you. And then, you did it again. And that happens a lot. You start asking, wait a minute. Whenever I come across somebody the second time, and it's not ever by chance, I walk up to them and I go, didn't I see you here the other time? We're supposed to meet for some reason. I don't know what the reason is. And I introduce myself, and they introduce themselves, and we find out that we have, connections on some level.
That's beautiful.
That happens. That happens. It's really interesting. And it's been happening for me for years. It used to happen when I was single too. I'd see a woman in a room, we'd connect with eyes, and then I'd go somewhere and leave, a month or 2, 3 later, 6 months later, I run into them again somewhere. And I would just simply say, hey, how are you? I saw you at this other event. There must be some reason why you're here, and I'd like to find out what that is. It's kind of cool just to meet people. So let's just say it was funny because I have a friend who was a pilot for Delta. He's retired now. And when I moved from California 21 years ago. He was still a Delta pilot at that time. And at one point I was going back to Sacramento to see my mom. And this is about probably about 12, 15 years ago. And the plane lands, and he comes out of the cockpit in Sacramento. He comes out of the cockpit. I said, hey, what's up?
What a surprise.
I said, yeah. I said, man, I haven't seen you in such a long time. And he said, yeah, let's. I run this route. And he said, I said, you home now? And he says, yeah, I'm home. Let's play some golf. I'm going to play some golf tomorrow. He says, yeah, let's do that. And we go out and we play around the golf together, right? And he ends up coming to my dad's funeral and the celebration afterwards. Really warm, loving guy. Loves life. And I just loved having those people in my life. And I know why they're in my life. And it warms my heart and soul, and I keep attracting them because I know I do it on purpose. We have this ability to do this on purpose, and all we have to do is just be in that resonance and surround ourselves with fun and excitement and passion that helps continue to propagate that resonance. And you will go out and you'll go to wherever it is you go. You don't know anybody, go by yourself. You will run into people who are really good people, really fun people, really people who are impassioned about life and doing things that bring joy to themselves. And it happens wherever the heck I go. We're going to New York City next week. I'm sure I'll run into somebody, a couple people. I'm going to meet a couple people, some friends, but I'm sure I'll run into somebody else that is such. But the friends that I'm running into, that I'm going to see, were brought into my life by somebody else who resonated on the same level. And so you're just going back, 7 years later, 8 years later, I haven't been there in a while, and reconnecting with them. And it's fun. We can do this. This is not rocket science. We can do this. We just have to disconnect ourselves from the negativity that's out there. Just stop investing in it. Stop making it bigger than it really is, and start making what's important bigger than it really is. And then it will it will take over. And we involve ourselves. And this is a serious conundrum for people, because they might listen to this radio show. Our listeners may listen to this radio show and then turn around afterwards and then watch the news. And when you do that, all of the goodness, the joy, the compassion and hope and love that we put forth in the show will dissipate because your attention will now be focused on something that is way beyond your control and make you feel terrible. I'm just going to say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You feel like hopeless. You'll feel hopeless. You're never hopeless. As Pam Gregory said, listen, the best thing you can do is sit down and meditate and send love into the consciousness. Send love into the ether. That's the best thing that you can do. And to be kind to the people, to be of service to others. Be kind and empathetic and joyful and compassionate and all that with everyone you meet. Put that into the world instead of focusing on the stuff that doesn't matter, that you can't control, that is dying around you, and putting that out there and attracting that. We have this power of choice, as we were talking about a couple of shows ago. I think about that every day. By the way, that William Glasser, what an amazing way to package what you and I have been talking about for decades, and we didn't even know it existed, and it existed.
No, we didn't.
We were thinking about it.
I know, it's great.
I mean, 1960s.
It's so true.
In the mid-60s, I was like 7 years old, I wasn't thinking about that. I was pursuing what was joyful for me, what made me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that my mom and dad instilled in us, to go do what you have an interest in. Go do what interests you. And if it ceases to interest you, stop doing it. Don't continue doing it just because you think someone thinks you should or what somebody else says. If you no longer have an interest in it, then go do something else that you have an interest in.
Exactly. I've actually had a few people reach out to me, and it's interesting how the universe keeps bringing it up, because a lot of individuals are experiencing the dissonant energy, and they called me to say, well, how do you handle this, or how do you handle that, or why is this showing up? And my answer to them was, so many people had not been active participants in their own life. It just been passive observers. They've just sort of let life happen to them. Mm-hmm. And I really truly believe it's a call to action right now, that we are all co-creating our new reality. Do not be a passive observer. You have the opportunity, you have the choice to affirm and empower yourself and align yourself with all of these amazing higher frequencies that are available. It is your birthright. We can connect. We all have that inner knowing. And I think there's a big line in trusting. Like I do trust. I trust. And this is what I said to my friend. I said, yeah, I'm either a hypocrite or I truly believe that everything is unfolding perfectly. Even though I may not understand why certain events are happening, it is all unfolding perfectly. There is a cosmic unfolding, and we are a vital part of it. And I think that each one of us is being called to remember that. You are magnificent. You are love. You are joy. You embrace that power. You empower yourself. You reclaim your sovereignty. And that's how we step into the fullness of our being. And we align ourselves with joy, which both Carol Collins and the teachers and Sarah Landon and Bashar, aligning yourself to your highest potential. I love it, because that's truly what it is. It's a time of remembrance, and it's a time of celebration, in my opinion. And again, all the other stuff, it's just, I say, it's like smoke and mirrors. It's distraction. It's distraction from keeping you from your own greatness. And so I think as we sort of cultivate the idea of this self-awareness that we are magnificent and this is our soul's greatest journey, and then we can consciously create what it is. So imagine that, though, Michael. Like, imagine a world where everybody lives from a place of wholeness, sovereignty, and joy. and it's not that far off. This is what the reality is that we're being called to create right now. But we have to start with ourselves. And I think from all of the different channelers, it all starts with us. It's not what the other person's doing. I have no control over what you're doing after the show or on the show or whatever. It has to start from within. And I love that. I mean, imagine that, Michael. Imagine. I mean, John Lennon wrote about it. Imagine.
So true. I mean, I resonate with everything that you said. I mean, I concur with it. I mean, because this is the way is what I was thinking about when you were saying that too. Is something I did a golf video a couple days ago on YouTube, a mental golf video, and I was talking about how the golf course by the designers of golf courses create a course to rob you of your power. I'm not talking about the power to hit the ball the long way. I'm talking about the power to control your words, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, and your responses to what happens. That's what these golf courses are designed to do. They're designed with levels of difficulty that rob you of your ability to control how you feel. And the pros, the people who play the golf at the highest level, they, whether they're professional or not, they understand one thing. They are in control of what they think and how they perceive what goes on in that course, on the course. And I think about applying this to life, that the world that you experience is literally designed to diminish your sovereignty. And that's the world a lot of people are in. Their sovereignty is diminished because like people come to you and you say, how do you deal with this? How do you? Anybody who asks me that question, they're giving away their power to things they can't control, the events, the things that Michael Glasser was talking about, the things outside of you that you have no control over. You're giving away your power to that. Just that question is confirmation of that fact, because something outside of you is making you feel uncomfortable, sad, making you feel lower frequencies, right? Anger and resentment, those kinds of things, right? And the division that occurs outside is outside of you that you buy into. There is no division. There's simply people who are in mass giving their power away to something outside of them that they can't control. Their feelings and emotions are not within their control because that's what they're doing. And so it's this, the way people talk can really just simply hone you in on it. The young lady who I met, who was servicing us at the pool at the Biloxi last week, same thing. She was 21 years old and was experiencing something within family that was making her uncomfortable. And I told her the same thing. This is what it's a sign to you. It's a sign to you that you slipped backwards into allowing the outside world to dictate what your feelings are and what your thoughts are about things. And I said, if you just step away from that and you understand that nothing has the power to make you feel any way you don't want to feel, nothing. That's your own sovereignty. You step into that and you understand that you're in control. You're making choices and you're seeing the outside world for what it is. It's simply the fantasy you create, the experience based on the way you're perceiving it. And everything can be awesome because everything has meaning, as you just said. Everything has meaning to you, not this global, this socio-economic or social meaning, right? The social meaning. People die, and there's this whole, you have to go through the 7 steps of grief and all of that. To me, that's just garbage, right? I've learned that we don't die. We progress into the non-physical being that we came from. Non-physical to physical to non-physical. That's it. Our soul never dies. It never goes anywhere. It lives forever, right? So we've been taught, though, by this industry, and there's an industry that makes a lot of money off death, right? So we can just take it down to the brass, wood nickels, brass tacks and wood nickels, as my mother used to say. I don't think anybody says that anymore. But take it down to its bare essence is really, really the key here, is that I have the choice to feel any way I want to feel about my best friend passing away. That's simply it. I don't have to act this way. People don't have to expect me. I don't care what people expect. I can act any way I want. I can go out in the woods and dance like crazy and yell at the top of my lungs and say, hey, how are you? Hope things are well. Come and be with me right now. Let's party, right? They'll be right there. And
you're right.
It's fun. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel joyful, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll see you again. Your time was up. Between us and the audience, I'll simply say this. I had a reading about my best friend who passed away at 60. Basically, on his birthday, he died. Fell over in the bathroom and died. And it turned out he had some health problems that had led to that particular point that he wasn't talking about, and he did a couple he didn't know about. But the point is, when I went to someone to get a reading to find out about, I went to a channel, and he told the channel that he was extremely grateful because all the things I had been talking to him about for decades, he finally understood. And because he finally understood them, he ascended and he no longer had to come back.
Oh, that's amazing.
And he discovered that he had that epiphany during his ascension from the moment he died. When his soul came out of his body, he had that epiphany. Boom. It was like same time, right? And I'm like, and that made me feel so awesome. It simply validated that he heard the things that I was telling him, the things we're talking about right now. He heard them. He didn't necessarily act from them, but he heard them, and they were in his head. And it was the battle of whether he does or doesn't. I don't care. We're not here to get our audience to do what we say. We're not gurus, and we're not here to control people. We're putting out a message of how someone can live and an amazing life, a joyful life full of love and kindness and compassion and abundance, prosperity. It's all there for you. Feeling awesome when you get up in the morning, feeling awesome when you go to bed at night, and processing events during the day that happen outside of you with joy and love and kindness and, again, compassion. So, I mean, we can't force anybody to do anything. We just literally, it's everybody's individual journey. And I never forced him to do anything. I don't force anybody to. I've given up that control. We try to control people all around us. We've done that. I mean, I no longer do it. And when I find myself doing it, because I'm only human, I back away. I go, whoop, wait a minute. Nope, I'm doing that. What I'm saying is attempting to get this person to be another way. Instead, I will simply, if they ask, I'll enlighten them and then say, it's your cross to bear. It's you. You've got to pick this weight up and carry it, this stone up and carry it yourself. You got to carry the weight. You have to make the transformation yourself. You have to instigate it. You have to live from it. You can just hear it from me, but you have to live from it, right?
Yeah, but I think, too, Michael, he may not have heard the words, and thank you for sharing that story because it really is a great example. Sometimes we'll say something, and we might not think the person's paying attention or that they have any interest. And I know that both you and I are big fans of alchemy, about transmuting things from base metal into gold. And that the biggest way to put that into layman's terms is when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. So you may have had situations where you shared hard times or experiences that you had, and he may have been there to listen. He may not have always understood, but there was the light that you were sharing, the information you were sharing, it elevated him on some level. And I think that each one of us here on the planet, that as we share that love, we're elevating what's going on the planet. We're literally increasing the frequencies and elevating consciousness to different levels. And we don't know who it is. And it's kind of, you just have to trust that those lemons, and in my case, the electricity that was off, it's happening. And that it's just part of the plan. And in that, when you take that higher perspective, which is what you did, and you just trust that you're going in the right direction. And he may have been watching you, that as you were going through different hardships or challenges, you just kept pursuing. You just knew that whatever it was, you were going to overcome it, and that you could elevate yourself to a greater level. And I think that that's just, it's really, really wonderful. And I think all relationships, everybody that we meet, they're all part of our journey, and we don't know. Reason, a season, a lifetime. Some people come into our lives and they quickly go, and then other people come and they leave footprints on our hearts, and we're never, ever the same. And I'm sure that the times that you shared with your friend, he left you with a lot of amazing gifts that transformed you, as you did him. And I love that you were able to have that confirmation after he passed. It's just, it had to feel really, really great.
That's so awesome. I mean, it warmed my heart. If I went out in the back of the yard and I shed tears over the fact that he was, it's always, let's say, I mean, what the elephant in the room is that it's sad to not be able to physically hug another individual or talk to them in the way that you had for the time that you knew them. I mean, whether it be your mother, father, grandmother, friend, whoever. And that's the part that, makes us sad, and that's the part that most people focus on. The issue is how deeply that occurs. And what helped me was somebody telling me, somebody who was an angel communicator simply said, look, the biggest travesty here is that people suffer too deeply and for too long. Mm-hmm. When they lose something. And what we need to do is to focus from sadness to joy as quickly as possible. Turn that frown into a smile as quickly as possible about whatever it is that we've lost. And I remember that. Even when I lose a physical item, I think twice about, well, maybe I was supposed to, the energy in that no longer resonated with me. And I'll just let it go. It's not important for me to experience all of these negative emotions like anger because or beating myself up, making myself out to be a victim because I lost something that was physical, that was tangible, and because something else, I'm just making way for something else. It's no longer, it's leading me to something else. There's something else that's supposed to show up. I don't know what it is. I'll keep an eye out for it. Right. I'll keep an eye out for all that magic. Someone said the other day, miracles can only occur if you believe in miracles. It's simply, it's true. We want miracles. The question is, do we believe in miracles?
Yeah. There was a saying, and I just want to interject because I always liked this. It said, "Become a space where the light can land." And I like what you just said about miracles because now I'm going to change it to become a space where the miracles can happen, unfold.
Yeah.
And being present in that, and don't force it. You cannot force a miracle. That's why it's called a miracle. You can't force something to happen. So you just have to sort of step back and allow and see yourself through the eyes of your soul. And what is that? You're whole, radiant, and divinely guided. And this is your time. This is your time to remember and reclaim that divine essence and be on that greatest adventure of your soul's journey. I mean, I love it. So thank you, Michael, because I just wanted to say that because I'm like, okay, that's what it is, miracles, allowing that in.
That's so true. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's the topic of this show of our soul's journey is the most magnificent journey of our lives, of our existence. It's a far-reaching concept, and it's another one of those concepts that when we begin to embrace it and live from it, we begin to see things differently. And in my view, and I know you'll likely agree that that's what we're here for. We're here to experience what it means to be physical. As non-physical beings, what it's like to be physical, what it's like to manage our emotions, what it's like to make choices and have those choices have consequences. Make better choices. If those consequences weren't what we wanted, learning that we need to make better choices. right? Instead of making ourselves out to be a victim, we say, oh, well, I need to make a better choice next time. That one didn't work out so well. What was it about it that I would like to be different? Let's make the different choice next time. How can I choose differently? How can I live my life in a way that brings joy and fulfillment? Because so many of our choices in life after we become an adult are based on income, retirement, the things that people say you need to buy a house with a white picket fence, and you got to have this 1.2 cars and 3.5 kids or whatever it may be, right? That's what being an adult is. And I can tell you, at 67 years young, almost 67 this month, at the end of this month, that life is that you can be young at heart no matter what age you are. You can have fun. You can be goofy. You can be funny. You can embrace life in ways just like you did as a kid. You can be curious. You can make choices that make you feel awesome, and prefer not to do things. You can prefer it. A preference is a choice. Mm-hmm. I prefer. Instead of saying, let's put it this way, instead of saying I don't want to do that, I say I prefer to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I don't want to. Your mind doesn't understand don't, doesn't, can't. Right? It understands what you tell it. It's like programming a computer. You wouldn't program the computer to say don't do that. Right? What kind of outcome would you have if you programmed a computer with, or AI or anything else with, don't do that thing? Right? That's not telling it what you actually want. You have to speak in terms of what you actually want in life, what you desire, what you already have in life. I already have this thing. I have it. I have everything I need when I need it. I think you talked about that one last week from Bashar. I love it. I have everything I need when I need it. And that makes life awesome. I can just relax. Let my higher self and my guide figure out how it happens. That's their job. Mm-hmm. Best piece of advice I've been told. Just don't concern yourself with the how. Just live it as if it's already happened. Feel it, believe it, because what you believe you get. And you make it better than what you're believing. Right?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for bringing up choice, because I choose joy. I choose beauty. I choose wonder. I choose love and connection. And I'm so grateful for you, Michael, and to each and every one of us who join us here each week at PRNFM. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Let me just say that I'll take a moment for a little bit of admin here. I hope that the people who are listening here on PRNFM and our podcast are speaking to others about this. If you're embracing anything we're saying is resonating with you, that you can, it transforms you in a way that enables you to share it with others. I hope your reality is changing and you're seeing other people, new people come in, and people leaving your reality that don't resonate with the higher ideals that you and your soul have set for yourself. And if you feel good about what you're hearing, share it with someone. Let someone know the radio show exists, or let somebody know our podcast, the Connect to Love podcast, exists, because the whole idea here is to continue to spread this positive message to as many people as possible in as many countries as possible. This world is only going to change when we change ourselves, and when we wake up, and when we get new information and become more alert and more aware that we have more control than we ever thought we would ever have. But it's all within our ability right here and right now. So you never know what people are thinking. You never know what their needs are. They're not going to tell you. Nobody's going to be honest with you. But if you share this with them, they might come back to you and say, I needed that right now. I needed that. Mm-hmm. I needed that message. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Go for that.
I just love that, Michael. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
just love me
do it. Share it. It's what makes, the more people know it, the more people will start resonating in a positive message, the better. And I love you. I love you. I love the show. And I love everybody who takes time to listen. Very much appreciative of it. Okay?
Absolutely. Until next time, peace out and continue on this amazing adventure that's your soul's journey. Enjoy every moment.